The real reason Barney's ending was perfect has almost nothing to do with Robin. I know how that sounds, because for 9 seasons, this show acted like Barney and Robin were the whole point of his story, and then the finale blew that up in about 4 minutes. So I'm going to walk through the moments that actually made him who he is and show you the one wound How I Met Your Mother kept picking at for 9 years. Let's start with something that sounds like a joke but isn't. The suit isn't Barney, and neither are the catchphrases. That whole picture you get in your head when somebody says his name is a costume, and he put it on one specific day for one specific reason. The show is weirdly honest about this too. It doesn't save the reveal for some big emotional flashback in season 8, it hands it to you in season 1, hidden inside an episode that mostly looks like 5 friends messing around with a board game. That episode is season 1, episode 15, Game Night. The gang gets their hands on a video of Barney from before any of them knew him, and the guy on that tape is unrecognizable. Long hair, no suit anywhere in sight. He's soft, he's sincere, he's talking about joining the Peace Corps, and he's completely in love with a girl named Shannon.
Joining the Peace Corps with you is going to be legendary.
I know, only 5 short weeks till we're down in Nicaragua.
Hey. He's got the whole life mapped out with her, and he says all of it out loud without a single ounce of irony, which is the part that really gets you. Because the Barney you know has never said one sincere thing without immediately covering it with a joke. Then Shannon leaves him. She goes off with a guy named Greg, and Greg doesn't just take her. He makes fun of Barney to his face. The hair, the clothes, the whole earnest thing Barney had going on, all of it gets laughed at. And this is the moment the show is pointing at. Barney walks out of that humiliated, and when he shows up again, he's in a suit. He's got a corporate job, and he's treating women like a scoreboard. The tape isn't a fun bit of trivia the writers threw in. It's the origin story, and it's sitting right there 15 episodes into the series. And the thing that makes that tape hard to watch on a rewatch is how normal his plan was. He wasn't asking for anything wild, he just wanted a girl he loved, a life the two of them picked out together, and a future where he never had to be anybody but himself. But the detail that actually makes this whole thing land comes later, when Barney tracks Shannon down. Years have gone by. She's living a completely normal life at this point, and she's a mother. She has the exact thing he once wanted with her, just with somebody else in his spot. And how does Barney handle that? He doesn't tell her it still stings. He doesn't admit that she's the reason he became this. He looks at the woman who broke him and tells the audience, and I'm quoting him directly here, "And I rediscovered just how awesomely awesome my life is."
And I rediscovered just how awesomely awesome my life is.
That is a guy losing a fight and calling it a win. Nobody who's actually happy has to announce it that hard. And once you notice he does that, you start seeing it everywhere. Because it's basically his only move. Something hurts, and Barney turns it into a bit. Something exposes him, and he performs harder. The suit isn't there because he likes suits, it's armor. And armor only exists because something got through once already, which changes what the womanizing thing even means. The easy read on Barney is that he's a guy who loves women and hates commitment, and that read is completely wrong. He got honest with one person, he told her exactly what he wanted his life to look like, and she left him for somebody who thought his sincerity was funny. So he built a version of himself that can never be caught wanting anything. You can't reject a guy who never actually asked. Every play in the playbook, every fake name, every ridiculous costume, all of it does the same job. It puts a character between Barney and the other person, so the real one never has to be in the room. And that's why the finale sending him backward isn't the writers erasing his growth, even though that is absolutely what it looks like the first time you watch it. When Barney's life falls apart, he doesn't invent a new coping mechanism. He goes and gets the old one, because it's the one that worked when he was 23 and someone had just humiliated him. The show is being consistent about him in a way that annoys people, because consistency here means watching a guy you like relapse. But Shannon isn't the reason Barney is like this. She's just the day he found the costume, and the show makes you wait 5 more seasons before it shows you where the actual damage came from. The real wound in Barney's life isn't a breakup at all. It's a man who left, and then went and did the job properly for somebody else's kid. You get pieces of this from the very beginning, and for a long time the show plays them for laughs. Barney and his brother James are raised by their mom, Loretta, on her own. Their dads aren't around, and instead of telling her sons the truth about that, Loretta hands Barney a story. She tells him his father is Bob Barker. The guy from The Price is right. And Barney believes it hard enough that he eventually goes on the actual show in front of an actual audience to be near a man he thinks is his dad. It's one of the funniest bits in the early seasons, and it's also a little kid being handed a fantasy instead of a father, which is worth sitting with for a second because it explains a lot about how Barney handles pain later. Then in Season 6, Episode 8, Natural History, it stops being funny.
Uncle. Jerome Whitaker's my uncle. Uncle Jerry.
Well, it says father. He even signed it and checked the box for father and everything.
A security guard recognizes a man Barney knew growing up as Uncle Jerry and tells Barney that Jerry isn't an uncle at all. That's his father, Jerome Whitaker. He was in Barney's life and then he wasn't, and the story about the game show host was covering for that the whole time. And Barney's reaction is the giveaway. He doesn't get angry, he doesn't go looking for the guy, he asks Robin not to tell anyone. He knows and he buries it because knowing means he has to do something about it. He does eventually go, and that's Season 6, Episode 19, Legend Daddy, which is the most important episode in this entire video. Barney drives out to meet his father and finds a house in the suburbs. Jerome is married. He's calm. He's boring in the exact way Barney has spent his whole adult life making fun of. And he has a son, Jerome Jr., who everybody calls JJ, and JJ has a basketball hoop in the driveway, and Jerome shoots baskets with him like it's nothing, like it's just a Tuesday. Barney loses it, he gets a screwdriver and starts trying to take the hoop off the garage. A grown man in a suit unscrewing a little kid's basketball hoop, and the show plays it as a joke right up until it isn't, because that's when Barney finally says the thing out loud to his father's face. Because if you were going to be some lame suburban dad, why couldn't you have been that for me?
So mad! Because if you were gonna be some lame suburban dad, why couldn't you have been that for me?
That's the whole character in one sentence. And Marshall, who by this point has lost his own dad, is the one who gets through to him, telling Barney that he's never going to talk to his father again, but Barney's dad is alive and living right down the road. Jerome ends up giving Barney the hoop. It's not really about basketball. It's a man handing over a symbol of the thing he was supposed to provide about 30 years too late. So here's what people get wrong about that scene. Barney isn't upset because his dad turned out to be lame. He spends the whole episode pretending that's the problem, and he even lies to his friends about how the first meeting went, because admitting the truth would mean admitting he wanted something ordinary. What actually wrecks him is that the boring suburban dad thing was possible. It was available the entire time. Jerome could do it. Jerome just did it for a different kid.
A dad, a real family, and a basketball hoop? No, I at least get the hoop. I'm taking it with me.
And he doesn't get over it cleanly either. A couple of episodes later, he's still trying to dress Jerome up as somebody exciting in front of his friends, inventing a cooler version of the man so he doesn't have to explain why a dull guy in the suburbs hurts him this much. That's the same trick he's been running since the tape. Take the thing that embarrasses you, write a better story over the top of it, and hope nobody checks. It takes him most of that season to stop doing it, and that reframes everything Barney does for the rest of the series. The guy screaming in that driveway isn't asking for a wildlife or a legendary one. He's asking why he didn't get the plain one. He wants a house and a driveway and a parent who shows up on a random afternoon for no reason. That's a very specific thing to want. And it matters a lot because for the next 3 seasons, Barney goes looking for it in completely the wrong place. That fight in the driveway is the closest this show ever gets to saying out loud what Barney actually wants, and it isn't a woman. But Barney doesn't hear it that way, and what he does next is the reason so many people think his ending came out of nowhere. Barney spends years trying to solve a father problem with a girlfriend, and it fails every single time in a slightly different way. That's not me being cute about it. If you line up his relationships in order, they're not random. They're escalating attempts at the same thing, and every single one of them breaks for a reason that has nothing to do with love. You can see the search start even before Nora and Quinn show up. Back in season 4, he finally hits his big number, 200 women, the goal he'd been building his identity around since he was a kid. And instead of feeling like a king, he sort of stands there wondering what his life is supposed to be about now. That's a guy realizing the scoreboard doesn't say anything. And around that same stretch of the show, you get the 2 moments that people always forget when they say fatherhood came out of nowhere for him. The first is The Stinsons, where Barney hires actors, not for a play, not for a bit at the bar, but to be his family. He pays a woman to be his wife and a kid to be his son, and he brings them to his mother's house so Loretta can believe he settled down. Think about what that actually is for a second. He can't produce a family, so he buys the appearance of one, and he does it specifically so a parent will be proud of him. The other moment is not a Father's Day, where a pregnancy scare goes away and Barney throws an entire celebration about not becoming a dad, complete with its own made-up holiday. And later on, he and Ted sit down and half-seriously fill out adoption paperwork together before the whole idea falls apart in about 10 minutes. So the topic keeps coming up, he keeps circling it and then bolting. And then he actually tries. Nora is the first real attempt, and honestly, it's the closest he gets to doing it the normal way. He chases her, he tries to be the kind of man she'd want, and they end up together for a while. Then he cheats with Robin. And here's the part that gets skipped when people call Barney a coward. He tells Nora. He could have buried it forever and she'd never have known, and instead he ends it honestly, because he thinks Robin is going to do the same on her end.
I cheated on you.
I don't even know how to react.
Robin doesn't. She stays with Kevin, so Barney does the single most emotionally honest thing he's ever done up to that point and gets absolutely nothing for it, which is exactly the lesson a guy like him did not need to learn twice. And notice what that costs him. Being honest ended the relationship he was in and didn't get him the one he wanted, so the next time he goes after something serious, he goes back to building it out of tricks instead of sentences. Then comes Quinn, and Quinn is fascinating because on paper she's perfect for him. Same energy, same sense of humor, same lack of interest in being talked down to. They move in together. He proposes with an elaborate magic trick, which is very Barney and also very telling. And it all falls apart in Season 8, Episode 2, The Prenup, where the two of them start piling ridiculous conditions into a contract and eventually have to say the quiet thing out loud, which is that neither of them trusts the other one at all. They didn't break up because he wouldn't commit. He proposed he wanted it. They broke up because he genuinely could not believe another adult would stay. And a lot of people forget that Quinn was the first person he ever asked. Robin gets treated like the only serious relationship Barney ever had, mostly because she's in the main group and we watched all of it happen. But he put a ring on the table for somebody else first, and he meant it. He was never short on wanting the thing. What broke was the second those two had to sit down and write out what they'd each do if the other one let them down, because it turned out they both already had an answer ready. Now look at what he's actually doing in all three of those. Hired actors, a magic trick, a contract negotiation. Every time Barney reaches for a family, he reaches for a performance first, because performing is the only way he knows how to get a person to feel something about him. And a performance is the exact thing that can't produce what he's after, because the second it works, he knows it worked on the character, not on him. He isn't failing because he doesn't want a family. He's failing because he keeps auditioning for one. So Nora doesn't work and Quinn doesn't work. And by this point, most people watching had already decided who was supposed to work. Robin was the answer the show had been steering at since season 3, which is exactly why what happens to her and Barney is the part people still can't forgive. Let me be clear about something, because this is where the arguments usually go off the rails. Barney's marriage to Robin is not a fake out, it's not a waste of your time, and the show is not tricking you. That relationship is the most honest Barney Stinson ever gets. It's also still not the ending, and both of those things are true at once. The receipts start early. Their whole thing kicks off after Robin's second Robin Sparkles video, Sandcastles in the Sand, which is worth remembering because the show is going to hand that song back to you later at the exact moment it hurts most.
Is that Alan Thicke?
After that night, Barney does something completely out of character. He goes to Lily, tells her he's in love with Robin, and asks for help, which is a guy who has never once admitted to wanting anything, walking up to a friend and saying he wants something. Later, he takes secret lessons from Ted about how Robin works, what she likes, how to not blow it. He studies her. And the first relationship still falls apart anyway, because the two of them are so similar that neither one will say a real sentence about their feelings without turning it into a competition. Then he does the big one. In Season 8, Episode 12, the final page, the last play in the playbook, turns out to be called The Robin, and the entire elaborate thing is a proposal. She says yes, and after that, he burns the playbook, which is about as close to a formal resignation from his old life as a person can get, and that proposal doesn't come out of thin air either. A while before he pulls it off, Barney meets a woman at a party who has no idea who he is, and she pushes him to say out loud which person he actually wants instead of playing games about it. That conversation is part of what gets the Robin built. The woman is Tracy, who ends up being the mother the whole show is named after, which means the biggest romantic gesture of Barney's life exists partly because of her. The confession that actually matters comes in Season 9, Episode 15, Unpause. Right before the wedding, Barney tells Ted and Marshall that he loves Robin more than he's ever loved anyone. And then he says the part nobody expected, which is that for a long time deep down he felt sort of broken, and he doesn't feel that way anymore.
I don't feel that way anymore. Robin, along with the idea that vengeance will soon be mine, has made me 100% awesome.
2 episodes later, in Season 9, Episode 17, Sunrise, he hands the playbook off to 2 younger guys and tells them that whatever they do in this life, it's not legendary unless their friends are there to see it. That's Barney rewriting his own catchphrase in real time. Legendary used to mean a number. Now it means people. Even the show itself keeps poking at whether this will hold. Right before the wedding weekend, Barney's brother James, the one member of the family who did the marriage thing early, tells everyone he's getting divorced, and it rattles Barney badly enough that he has to say that Robin is the reason he still believes in any of this. Then they get married, and Sandcastles in the Sand plays again, and it feels like an ending. And then, 3 years later, they're divorced. Now, the reason people get this so wrong is that they invent a cause for it. The most common one I see is that Barney left because Robin couldn't have kids, and that's just not what happened. He knew about that long before the wedding. It was never a surprise, and it was never the issue. What breaks them is much more boring and much more real, which is that Robin's career takes her all over the world, and Barney ends up living out of hotels in cities he didn't pick, unable to keep his own work or his own life going. Eventually, Robin is the one who offers him the way out. They don't hate each other, they just built 2 lives that couldn't fit in the same room. So what does that divorce actually prove? Not that he never loved her, because every one of those moments still happened and none of them get taken back. What it proves is that I don't feel broken anymore was a thing Barney believed on that specific day, and the show is honest enough to admit that believing it doesn't make it permanent. Robin got him to drop the act, which is something nobody else in 9 seasons managed to do. But she was never going to be able to hold that job forever, because being another person's cure isn't a thing anybody can do for the rest of their life. You can love somebody enormously and still not be the answer to a question they've been carrying since they were 6 years old. So the marriage ends, and Barney goes right back to being the guy from Season 1, counting women like they're points on a board. That relapse is the single most hated thing in this finale, because it looks like 9 years of growth getting deleted in about 90 seconds. But that's only true if you thought Robin was ever the answer. Because that relapse is the last thing that has to happen before this show can finally answer the question Barney screamed at his father in that driveway. Here's what the finale actually does with him, and it's the one move nobody was asking for, which is probably why it works. It gives Barney a role he has never in his entire life been able to fake his way into. Season 9, Episode 24, Last Forever. After the divorce, Barney sets himself a challenge he calls the perfect month, which is exactly as juvenile as it sounds, and he pulls it off. Then he sits down with his friends, looking absolutely miserable about it, and when they ask him why, he tells them the last one, the one he calls number 31, is pregnant.
That last girl, number 31.
Oh, that's a pretty name. What is that, French?
That's how this happens. Not a plan, not a choice. Not a beautiful reunion with somebody he'd been pining over. An accident at the tail end of the worst month of his adult life. And a man who is clearly not happy about it. But here's the setup the show does earlier in that same finale. And if you missed it the first time through, it reframes the entire scene. Barney is trying to get a woman he just met to sleep with him, and he tries out a line. He says, "You are the love of my life. Everything I have and everything I am is yours, forever." And he can't sell it. He says it like a punchline, because to a stranger in a bar, that's all it can be. This is a guy who has lied about his name, his job, his personality, and his entire life story to get someone into bed, and this is the one sentence he cannot get out of his mouth with a straight face. Then he holds his daughter for the first time, and the show hands him the exact same words. Same sentence, no jokes in it, nobody in the room he's trying to convince. Every single tool Barney has ever used is missing from that scene. There's no suit trick, no playbook, no hired actors, no magic. The person he's talking to is a few minutes old and cannot be impressed, cannot be fooled, and is not going to leave him for a guy who makes fun of his hair. It's the first time in the series that Barney says something true to someone with absolutely nothing built around it. Now line that up with the driveway. A kid stands in a suburban front yard looking at a basketball hoop that belongs to some other child and screams at his father, asking why the plain ordinary dad version was possible for that kid and not for him. And the very last thing that same guy does on this show is become that person. Not a legend, not a millionaire, not the best man at another wedding. A dad with a kid, which is the exact thing he was denied and the exact thing he spent 9 seasons pretending he thought was pathetic. And the show is quietly tracking that whole time.
Getting married, having kids, it's all a mistake. It's a horrible, horrible mistake.
Jerome gives Barney the basketball hoop in Legend Daddy, and Barney eventually passes it on to Ted for kids Ted hasn't even had yet. That hoop moves from a father who wasn't there to the son who didn't get one, and then forward to the next generation. It's the same object carrying the same idea across an entire decade of television, which is not the kind of thing a show does by accident. And the woman he was married to is standing right there for it. Robin, who spent 3 years trying to make a marriage work with him, finds out he's a father and congratulates him. That's the show telling you what kind of ending this is. Nobody in it is destroyed, nobody has to be the villain, and the thing that ends Barney's story isn't a person he beat somebody else to. That's also why he couldn't say those words to a stranger. They were never romantic words for him. He'd been trying to aim a parental feeling at girlfriends for years, which is why Nora didn't fix it and Quinn didn't fix it, and Robin, who he genuinely loved, still didn't fix it. The love he was actually built for was never going to come from a partner because what he lost wasn't a partner. There's one more piece of this that lines up too neatly. Before the wedding, Barney hands the game off to 2 younger guys and tells them nothing counts as legendary unless their friends are around to see it, which is him admitting that the word he built his entire personality on was always about other people being in the room. Let's. The hospital scene is that idea finished. He's finally got somebody whose whole life he's going to be in the room for. And I'll be straight with you about the fair complaint, because there is one. The show never proves any of this went well. You don't see Barney at a school play. You don't see him at 15 years in. You don't get a single scene of him doing the boring daily work of raising a kid. It shows you the decision and skips the receipts. And if that's the part that annoys you, that's a completely reasonable thing to be annoyed about. The finale rushes a lot, and this is one of the things it rushes. But the decision is the reversal. Barney's whole story is a guy who couldn't be loved without a performance running, standing in front of the one person he can't perform for, and choosing to stay anyway. How I Met Your Mother never proves Barney turned into a great father. It just shows you the exact second he stopped being his father's son. If you want more How I Met Your Mother breakdowns, there's one on your screen right now. Go watch it.